Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to another video, and today we've got a pretty interesting topic. 8 reasons why you shouldn't inbreed. And I mean, before we get into the reasons, it's one of those things that I feel like 99% of the population would probably say, yeah, you don't even need to see the reasons just to realize it's wrong. But then I guess you see these reasons and it's like, oh, this is even more messed up than I initially thought. But some people look past that, and I guess this is why some people end up having certain problems. And what is this one with blue skin? There's that guy with blue skin, right? But I don't think that was to do with inbreeding. I don't know, to be honest, but we're going to jump into this and learn why you shouldn't do it. So if you are someone who's done it, well, it's too late, but if you are someone who's thinking about doing it, maybe this will change your mind. But yeah, let's jump into this and see some reasons why not. And yeah, links are also in the description to my Patreon if you want to see some more of my reactions. But let's just check this out.
Blue fugates. These people aren't Smurfs
Oh, that family. I was thinking about someone else.
or the Na'vi from Avatar, but the fugates from Kentucky. Since 1820, the family lived in isolation for over a century and only married within their own ranks.
You made out with your sister, man! Shut up!
But where did their blue look come from?
I'm blue.
According to research, it was the result of a recessive
This
mutation
is the guy that I'm thinking of, but his was different, right?
in the CYB5R gene. This mutation leads to a blood disorder known as methemoglobinemia, which tints the skin blue, especially in the lips and fingers. Years of inbreeding increased the odds of the blue look. By the 1960s, their ancestors started to resent it. Luckily, a hematologist came to the rescue. He gave them pills containing methylene blue dye, which counteracted their condition. Within minutes, the blueness faded away.
What?
So much for auditioning for the Blue Man Group. This is just one of the many medical outcomes of inbreeding. If you've got the hots for your cousin or your aunt, you may want to pay attention to this video before you take any chances.
Yep.
This is Your Body On 8 Reasons Why You Shouldn't Inbreed. Number 7. The Habsburg Jaw.
Oh my god, Quagmire's inbred. Jesus Christ. Oh my, is this a thing?
In 13th century
That is one strong ass jawline.
Germany, the royal Habsburg family took power. Their rule extended to many European kingdoms, but they are most famous for their monarchy in Spain, for various jaw-dropping reasons. They were a close-knit family, to say the least, and they did not want any outside interference to threaten their power. Throughout their Spanish reign from 1516 to 1700 CE, only 2 out of 11 marriages weren't incestuous.
What?
So that's how it is in their family.
As their lineage grew, so too did their jaws, and not in the flattering Zac Efron way.
Yeah.
This particular genetic feature, known as mandibular prognathism, leads to symptoms like a protruding jawline, misalignment of teeth, and difficulty breathing, swallowing, and talking. It's a condition that affects only 2 to 4% of adults around the world.
Oh, it's quite
But for
common
the
then.
Habsburgs, it was much more common. The most famous Habsburg by far was King Charles II. He was the product of 16 generations of family inbreeding, and well, it showed. Poor young Charles didn't speak until he was 4 years old due to his deformed jaw. He was short, weak, and impotent. To make matters worse, he had constant stomach problems and suffered from epilepsy and developmental delays. He produced no heirs and died when he was only 38.
Wow.
Autopsies reveal that his lungs were corroded, his intestines were rotten, and his head was full of water. But he's not the only royal to suffer from a horny family.
Horny. Yeah. Crazy horny.
Yeah, royal families love a little inbreeding session, don't they? They love it because they got to keep it in the blood, keep it pure.
King Tuts disease.
What the hell is that?
When his golden tomb was discovered in 1922, the legendary pharaoh King Tutankhamun became a worldwide
Wait, Tutankhamun? King Tut? Oh, I should have probably clocked that was Tutankhamun.
phenomenon. Despite all the grandeur, his reign and life in Egypt were short. Tut ascended the throne at only 9 years old, but passed away at the age of 18 with no heirs to his name.
He was young.
His death puzzled scientists for decades, with theories ranging from a chariot crash to murder. But years later, molecular genetic analysis and thousands of CT scans revealed a different story. While most accounts regaled him as a handsome young pharaoh, in truth, he was a physically deformed teen who had to walk with a cane. With
damn.
Tuts' parents keeping it all in the family, scientists believe his ancestral lineage was the cause of his predicaments. He had a clubbed foot from Kohler's disease, a rare genetic disorder that leads to foot bone necrosis. He also had fused neck vertebrae due to Klippel-Feil syndrome.
But is this what they think he looked like? How can they judge this off his body from thousands of years ago? That is crazy.
And a raging malaria infection to top it all off. If your family tree resembles a pyramid like Tuts did, your odds of hereditary conditions increases with every generation, even diabetes. Number 5. Neonatal diabetes.
Neonatal diabetes, what the hell is that?
One of the most fatal consequences of generational inbreeding is Walcott-Rollison syndrome, or WRS, an incredibly rare genetic form of diabetes. While type 1 diabetes affects about 8.4 million people around the globe, WRS has been reported in only 100 children to date. It arises due to mutations in the EIF2AK3 gene, which can affect your body's cells and their ability to respond to stress. As a result, several symptoms can occur, including permanent diabetes, abnormal bone development, liver failure, and developmental delays, to name a few.
Oh, man.
25% of all cases of WRS have come from children of consanguineous marriages. That's a fancy term for sharing the same ancestor. Number 4. Huntington's Disease. Huntington's disease is an extremely rare condition affecting about 3 out of 100,000 people worldwide. The debilitating disease causes your nerve cells to break down over time, making you slowly lose function over your body. This terrible affliction strikes people in their 30s and 40s and features a range of symptoms, from twitching and trouble swallowing to poor memory recall and impulse control.
So it's just literally a mixture of everything that can go wrong. That sounds horrible.
It also has a high likelihood of obsessive-compulsive disorder, depression, and bipolar disorder.
Bro, this is just a disease that just causes everything to go against you. Flipping hell. This is number 4.
Sadly, life expectancy is between 10 to 30 years.
What?
Many isolated communities in fishing villages near Lake Maracaibo in Venezuela have been affected by Huntington's. It is believed that over 200 years ago, one woman who carried the mutation settled in the village and gave birth to 10 children. After 2 centuries of interbreeding, now 1 out of every 10 people in the area have the disease.
What the
Number 3. Hemophilia.
What is that?
Queen Victoria was known as the grandmother of modern Europe, and for good reason. 9 of her children and 42 of her grandchildren married into royal families across Europe, spreading their rule over Germany, Russia, and Spain.
Okay, and then they all linked up again. God damn, that's easy to see how there was inbreeding in that situation. If you've got all your family going to different royal families, those royal families are going to interlink at some point.
While Queen Vic's descendants were taking powerful positions across European empires, the British monarch passed along an unknowing gift to her progeny: Hemophilia B. People with Hemophilia B bleed longer than usual and are more prone to bruising and internal bleeding. The Queen's son, Prince Leopold, the Duke of Albany, passed away from a brain hemorrhage after taking a spill. Her young grandson also died from internal bleeding after falling out of a window, and several other descendants suffered similar blood-related fates. Number 2. Angelman Syndrome.
The hell is
Unfortunately, despite the name, there is nothing angelic about this syndrome. Angelman syndrome is a rare genetic disorder that affects the nervous system. It's a result of the mutation of the gene UBE3A. We inherit 2 copies of the UBE3A gene, one from each parent. Both copies are active throughout our body's tissues, but the brain only uses the mother's copy. If this copy gets deleted by a mutation, the protein can lead to a host of problems. These can include intellectual disabilities, trouble sleeping, seizures, and more. For some, it can result in a small skull and abnormal curving of the spine. But the most bizarre symptom of all is constant laughing and a happy personality. While it's rare, the chances increase if you're keeping it in the family. Number 1.
That was a weird-ass syndrome. What the fuck?
Ostrich People.
Ostrich people?
In the northern Cape
What, like hunchback?
Yemba region of Zimbabwe, Africa, resides the Vedoma tribe. Their elders claim they hail from the baobab tree, and various origin stories passed down through generations describe their paternal ancestors as having a bird-like appearance. Whether or not the stories are true, you would think they hold weight just by looking at the tribe members' hands and feet.
Oh my god. What the
Many of the Vadoma people have fingers and toes that look more bird-like than human, earning them their Ostrich People nickname.
Oh my
This is due to a disorder called ectrodactyly, or split hand-foot malformation. It causes the toes and fingers to fuse together with a space in the middle, much like a bird's foot. SHFM is quite rare. Only around 1 in 90,000 people are at risk of the disorder. But in the case of the Vadoma tribe, the prevalence is much higher. Their laws prohibit marrying outsiders from other tribes. As a result, about 1 out of 4 Vadoma children are born with fused toes or fingers. Throughout history, inbreeding...
I mean, that wasn't as brutal. That's just you can see it, like it's a more visual one, but the other ones were more like affecting the actual health of someone.
was used as a means of keeping bloodlines strong, but in many cases, it had the opposite effect, especially over several generations of incestual hanky-panky.
So did they used to think it was better to inbreed? Obviously, they thought to keep it in the family, but did they think it would actually make the person healthier or something? That is wild, man. How times have changed. The man you've shown with blue skin was named Paul Carrison. He was not blue because of inbreeding, but because he consumed... See, I know that guy. I remember he was blue, but it wasn't to do with actually inbreeding or whatever. My neighbour had children with her cousin. 13 miscarriages, 3 were born and could never leave the hospital and passed away around 2-3 months. They had 2 girls who survived and are doing well. Very sad, though. Flipping hell. Also, how is it so well known that they're cousins? Why would they let that slip? Not lies. Inbreeding is bad for the genetics, but I don't judge its what's. Oh, I don't know, man. Weird topics, but yeah. Hopefully you found this interesting, and yeah, there's probably more that didn't get mentioned, but yeah, that's that. And until next time, like, subscribe, and peace.